I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm going to try to do as much of this as I can. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice. Kevin's ready to jump in, and it's going to be kind of a tag team thing anyway. I want to thank you again for coming out on this very cold night. I want to explain at the top, this is about the process. This is not about any individuals. So when we talk about an office for a point of information, a point of fact, we're talking about the office holder, not a specific individual. So I might say a mayor, the mayor, a council person, but we're not talking about anybody, we're not thinking about anybody. I want to be clear about that. Okay, so the big question is, do you recall? And I took the title of this program from George Doherty, who's an attorney, used to be the municipal attorney in the city of Trenton, who was a valuable resource in putting this presentation together. I was constantly running to him with questions, and he would give me back the citations, and he sent me one weekend, he sent me a whole mess of documentation and said, enjoy, read through this. So I read through it, I digested it, I summarized it, and that was kind of the genesis of this presentation. The reason we're doing it, again, is because between Kevin and I, we have been stopped on the street, emailed, called, people constantly wanting to know, when can we start a recall? How do we start? Are you starting a recall? I'm tired of answering the questions. I want to do it one more time. Do it on the tape, and we're done with it. So, an exploration of the process for recalling an elected official in New Jersey. In New Jersey, there's two ways to remove somebody from office, okay? They can be, well, actually there's three. They could pass away, or they could be arrested, and then they're removed, or the people can recall them. There is no impeachment process. The city council cannot impeach the mayor. They cannot impeach one of their own members, with the possible exception of if they miss a lot of meetings in succession. There's a possibility there. We haven't gotten into all the details. So recall is the way to go. In 1995, I believe, the state of New Jersey redid the recall law. Excuse me, it used to only be available to certain municipalities. Now it's available to every municipality except for Boonton. There was a loophole in the law that they didn't foresee, and they somehow escaped that. So recall, removal by the voters, is the only way to go. When can a recall occur? This is the big question everybody wants to know. A person must have served 1 full year of a term in office before a recall process can be initiated. In the case of the people that were sworn in on July 1st of this year, that would mean July 1st of next year. But recall activities, if you look at the next point, can be initiated 50 days prior to that, which would be approximately May 12th. Also, you cannot start a recall within 6 months of the end of a term. 3 steps of recalling somebody in New Jersey. You file the notice of intent to recall, you collect signatures on a recall petition. If you collect enough of those signatures and they're certified, then it goes to a vote at either a regular election or a special election. The process is required for each and every individual officer that's being recalled. You can't do a blanket recall for all of the officers. Each individual has to have a separate recall petition, notice to recall, et cetera, and so forth. In Jersey City right now, there is a recall drive going on for their mayor, and I believe it's 3 of their city council people. And it's 3 separate committees, 3 separate petitions. It'll be 3 separate elections on the same day. A notice of intention to recall must be filed prior to collecting of any signatures. This notice must indicate the name and the office of the elected official to be recalled, names of at least 3 persons who shall be known as the recall committee, an optional statement of any reason that the committee wishes to state for the recall, and a statement as to whether or not the recall election shall be held at a regularly scheduled election or at a special election. We'll get into this a little bit later, but when you look at the timing here, if you start on May 12th, the process for the collecting of the petitions will end in October, which does not give you enough time to have it on the ballot for the general election in November, so it would be a special election. And I will get to that later.
Again, I'd just like to make one point. All of the dates we're discussing tonight are pretty much the earliest dates that something can happen. It's not any sort of deadline. The way things work, you know, they're like 5 business days after one thing happens, but that's a minimum. Anything and all along the line, things can be delayed, held up, pushed back. So what we're talking about are the earliest dates that things can happen, not necessarily the earliest dates that things will happen.
Thank you. So You file the notice of intent. You have to have the committee on it. You don't have to have a reason, but you do have to express if you want to have a special election or not. And the clerk, in this case the city clerk, is the election official, will tell you what the cost of that special election would be. They have 3 days to certify and return the petition to the committee, or reject it and return it to the committee. If approved, the notice of intent, if it's approved, the election official has 5 days to serve a copy on the official that's being recalled and to publish a copy in a newspaper. Once notified, that official that is the subject of the recall can acknowledge receipt and file an answer to any statement of cause that's in that notice of intent to recall. If the receipt is not acknowledged, the election official must notify the petitioners that the officer failed to respond. Also, if they don't respond to any cause that you put down, which again is an option, you would be notified of that. Now, here's what Kevin was talking about, the timeline, the earliest possible dates. In the case of the current slate of municipal officers, May 12th of 2011 would be the first day to file a notice of intent. May 17th would be the date that the clerk would have to certify that notification, because you have to figure in the weekend there and all this other stuff. The official must be notified by May 24th. 160 days after that is October 19th of next year to obtain signatures from 25% of the registered voters in the city of Trenton as of this past general election. Now, as the note says, the timeline would not allow for a recall election at the same time as the regular November election. All right, the next phase would be, if you're certified, if the notice is accepted, then you have to collect petitions. You have to get at least 25% of the persons registered to vote in the jurisdiction on the date of the general election preceding the date on which the sponsors of the petition file a notice of intention. Citywide races, the mayor, the at-large council people, will be 25% of the registered voters in the whole city. If it's a ward council person, it's only 25% of the voters that are in that ward.
To put that number in context, again, this is a huge hurdle. 25% of all registered voters in the city have to sign that petition. Back in May and June, just about 25-30% of voters came out to vote for everyone who ran. So that means that one would have to get as many signatures just on the petition as voted in the entire election. That's a very, very steep hurdle.